The woman tore off the necklace her husband gave her when they got engaged, burned their wedding photos in despair, then went to the civil affairs office to finalize their divorce, dragged her suitcase without hesitation, headed straight to the airport to begin a new chapter of her life. But the man was still clueless, still flirting with the manipulative woman. It wasn't until he sent the other woman home that he realized his wife had vanished. All she left behind was the bright red divorce certificate on the table. The man picked it up in disbelief and finally realized what he had lost. But by then, it was too late for regret. On their wedding night 3 years ago, he had already handed her a signed divorce agreement, coldly telling her he loved someone else and just wanted to stay married in name for 3 years. At that moment, the woman felt her soul drain away. She thought her years of silent love had finally paid off, but it turned out she had only been fooling herself. After marriage, the man completely ignored her, until one day, his first love suddenly broke up with him and disappeared. He got drunk out of his mind and mistook his wife for his ex, forcing an encounter between them. After that, his attitude toward her began to soften, and she cautiously fulfilled her role as a wife, trying her best to please him. As the 3-year agreement was never mentioned again, she thought her efforts had finally moved him. But just 3 months before the agreement was due, his ex suddenly broke up and returned home. The man immediately abandoned his wife without a second thought. In that moment, the woman finally understood. He had never let go of his first love, and she had only ever been a substitute for his emotions. So she decided to leave once the 3 years were up. But then, a call from the man rushed her to the hospital. Thinking something had happened to him, she rushed over in panic, only to see him with his ex. It turned out the ex's mother had leukemia and needed a bone marrow transplant. The man was a match, so he decided to donate. But he needed a family member's signature, so he had no choice but to call his wife. Watching him walk into the operating room without hesitation, the woman finally understood. His love for his ex was worth even his life. While waiting, the ex pretended to feel bad for bothering him, but then bragged to her about his devotion. Only then did the woman realize the necklace her husband gave her was something the ex had discarded, and all his work notes were actually love letters written to the ex. At that moment, she could no longer pretend to be okay, and fled the hospital in a panic. At home, she packed her bags, planning to leave once the divorce was finalized, and took off the necklace she had once treasured most. The next day, she accompanied the man to a family dinner, where his mother pressured them to have a child soon, but the man firmly refused. His mother was furious, and dragged the woman to the study. At the same time, the man got a call from his ex, so he left the woman behind and walked away. In the study, his mother made the woman kneel, blamed her for not stopping the man from donating bone marrow, and eventually punished her with a family whip. While she suffered in silence, the man was still chatting happily with his ex. When the woman woke up, she was already in the hospital, and the man was suddenly attentive, carefully taking care of her for a whole week. She almost let herself fall again, but then the ex suddenly showed up. The man immediately pushed his wife aside, eager to distance himself from her, and rushed after the ex to explain, completely forgetting about his injured wife. That moment broke her completely. Soon it was the man's birthday. She gave him a gift she had carefully chosen over months, but the ex pulled out a rough handmade scarf. Everyone mocked her for it, but the man happily wore it on the spot.